Welcome students to another lesson. I hope you are staying safe and also eating healthy. One way of eating healthy is eating an apple. Eating an apple a day. Why an apple a day? An apple has a very important element which is related to our topic today, which is rusting. Which element is this? This element is iron. And from biology, we know that iron, this apple is so sweet. We know that iron is a very important element to our blood cells. And one of the blood cells is white blood cells, which usually fight against germs, viruses, and bacteria. So when you eat a lot of apple, you build or you keep your body with a lot of iron, and hence you make your soldiers, which are the white blood cells, strong. So the element iron is also related to rusting. Usually, I prove that an apple has iron. When you eat an apple, then it stays for a longer time. It will start turning brown. Why is it turning brown? Because the iron is combining with the oxygen in air and the water vapor in air to form what we refer to as rust. It also happens to metals which are made of iron. So metals which are or machines which are made of iron. So the brown substance, we refer to it as rust. What's the chemical name of rust? Rust, the chemical name is referred to as hydrated iron 3 oxide. That's the chemical name of rust, hydrated iron 3 oxide. Its chemical formula will be Fe2O3.H2O. That's the chemical formula of hydrated iron 3 oxide. Chemical word, chemical formula. This H2O stands for hydrated, meaning it has a water molecule. Iron 3 oxide. When you're writing the formulas, usually interchange the valencies. So since the valency of iron is 3, it comes to oxygen. And since the valency of oxygen is 2, comes to iron. And the chemical symbol of iron is Fe. Another thing you need to know about rusting is conditions necessary for rusting. Conditions necessary for rusting. And I talked about them earlier, that the apple is combining with oxygen and moisture in the air to form rust. So the first one is oxygen, and 2 is water vapor. Those are the 2 conditions necessary for rusting. So another way, so for a metal or iron to rust, it means there was presence of water vapor and there was presence of oxygen. We have other conditions which accelerate the rate of rusting. If these conditions are introduced, rusting happens faster, or the rate of rusting increases. So next we are going to look at conditions which accelerate rusting, not conditions necessary. Conditions accelerating. A condition accelerating rusting. So remember, oxygen and water vapor are conditions necessary for rusting, but the ones which now accelerate rusting, we have salt and acidity. Acidic conditions accelerate the rate of rusting, and also salty water, or regions which have salty water, the rate of rusting will be high. So most students usually confuse the two. Be able to differentiate if they are asked the conditions necessary for rusting or conditions which accelerate rusting. So after we have looked the conditions necessary for rusting and the ones which accelerate rusting, swiftly we can move to how can we prevent rusting? How do you prevent rusting? Those are methods for preventing rusting. Methods of preventing rusting. Method of preventing rusting. As we know, rusting is not beneficial to our machines. It has no importance to our machines. So as human beings being innovative, we have to come up with ways of how to prevent rusting. And the most common method of preventing rusting is, if you could be able to look around your home, you notice that all metals have been painted. The painting is not only for aesthetics or beauty, but the main reason or the scientific reason is to prevent rusting. So the first method is painting. How does it work? When you paint a metal, you prevent the interaction of oxygen gas directly with the metal. When oxygen comes, it meets the paint. It doesn't meet the iron metal. So hence you have prevented rusting. There's no way iron will be able to react with oxygen or water vapor. Second, also some machines usually they apply oil and grease. One reason for applying oil and grease is usually to reduce friction, and the second reason also is to prevent rusting. So second is oiling and greasing. That's method number 2 of preventing rusting. I usually tell my students that when you're listing the methods of preventing rusting, oiling and greasing is one method. Don't list oiling as method number 1, then greasing as method number 2. It's one thing, because you're applying, sometimes you'll be applying an oil and sometimes you'll be applying grease. Depends on what you have. So it's protecting the iron the same way painting does. It prevents the iron from interacting with oxygen and water vapor. Method number 2, coating. And here when you're talking of coating, is not in terms of dating or relationship, but it's coating with other metals. Coating with other metals. If you go to Garissa in Italy, you'll find that they have some wedding rings. This ring might be made of iron. Then they have coated it with silver so that it looks beautiful, and also it prevents the iron, which is the actual ring, from rusting. So most of ornaments or jewelries, you'll find that been coated with either silver or gold. So first is for it to increase the beauty of the ornament or jewelry, and second also is to prevent the metal which made the ornament from rusting. So mostly they coat it with less reactive metals such as silver, gold. These metals don't react with air or with oxygen. And the last method we look at today will be alloying. Alloying. What is alloying? Alloying is when you mix two metals. It's different from coating. Alloying now, it's industrial. You melt two metals, then combine them, then they form a different component. A good example is steel. This fork is made of stainless steel. Stainless steel is an alloy. There's no element called steel. It's an alloy which consists of iron and copper. So they mixed, they form steel, and also add a bit of aluminium. Though you can read more about alloys and you see different alloys which metals are made to combine. Usually alloying is to increase the strength of the metal and also to prevent it from rusting. And those are our 4 methods of preventing rusting. We have painting, oiling and greasing, coating, and alloying. A recap of our lesson today: we have looked at what is rust, You need to know the chemical name, which is hydrated iron 3 oxide. Conditions necessary for rusting: we have oxygen and water vapor. Conditions which accelerate rusting: we have acidity, and we also have salt. And we have looked, lastly, we have looked at methods of preventing rusting. How will you be tested on rusting? You can be tested in terms of memory to list the conditions which accelerate rusting or conditions which prevent rusting. You can be tested in terms of explanation. You can be asked, cars in Mombasa rust faster than cars in Kisumu. Explain. Cars in Mombasa rust faster than cars in Kisumu. Explain. So, if they are rusting faster, it means the rate of rusting has been accelerated. And if Mombasa has Indian Ocean, which is a salty ocean, or which has salty water. So due to the presence of salty water in Mombasa, the rate of rusting is high. That explanation will earn you marks. The last question also on analysis, you can be given diagrams. You're given diagram A, which has an ion here, and this is salty water. Then B, which has just ion. Then C has ion, and this is tap water. Then you are told, state and explain the observation which will be made in the 3 experiment or in the 3 setups. So this kind of question, you have to do some analysis and you link it to what you already know about rusting. So if it's salty water, it will have rusted more because of the salty water. Here, there might be rusting because air has water vapor, but the rusting won't be more compared to the one in tap water. So in terms of rusting, test tube A is the one which will rust more, then C, then B. And the reason is for A being rusting more is because it has salty water. And for C, there was plenty of water. B, there was no water, but it reacts with the water vapor in the air. So students, thank you for subscribing, and I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Thank you.